This time last year, I gave birth to my son. It was one of the most empowering experiences I could ever have hoped for. I've been scared of childbirth since I was a child, and growing up, I was completely conflicted. In my heart of hearts, I knew that I wanted to be a mother. I knew that one day that would be my destiny, no matter what happened. And I knew at the same time that I was terrified of childbirth. I remember showing up to science class, learning about, babies and how they're made, and understanding the process and the pain involved with giving birth to a child. And I remember being terrified. And of course, growing up, this was only further reinforced, right? You watch movies, you see women being rushed around, stressed out, screaming, seeing the whole thing as a terrible, traumatic experience. But fast forward to my son's birthday, it was the most magical experience. No drugs, no intervention, an mostly intimate experience for my husband and I to connect and really bring our child into the world. And I attribute that experience to a wonderful course that I did called the Calm Birthing course. And if any of you are watching and you're pregnant or thinking about having kids, highly recommend you check it out online, because I'm sure there's a practitioner in your area. But the reason this course was so helpful was that I got to prepare before the big day. And I got to actually flip my mindset about fear in general. This actually applies to your career, because how you do one thing is how you do everything. And I'm deeply grateful for that program. I'm deeply grateful for that course, and to Kathy, the practitioner, who taught my husband and I, and also my brother and sister-in-law at the same time. It was such a beautiful experience. But what it taught me is that fear is actually something that we perceive ourselves. We get to project that onto a situation. And basically, the calm birthing methodology dates back to a doctor back in the 1800s or 1900s, where he observed that some of the women that were giving birth actually had pleasurable experiences. They were smiling, they had fun, it wasn't painful at all, they just enjoyed it. And what he found was that these women didn't think it had to be painful. I remember there being one story where a woman gave birth and he was like, "Oh, that wasn't painful." And she's like, "Should it have been?" Kind of looked at him, puzzled face, perplexed face. And I think that's so true of life in our careers, right? Like, we're taught that career has to be hard. You have to put your nose to the grindstone. That's what we do when we're studying. Nose to the grindstone, study, study, study. Got to climb your way up the corporate ladder. There's like this forcing and this energy and this belief that we have to kind of elbow people out the way to get to the top. It's a scramble. It's kind of like you're pitted against somebody else. There's this whole competition and separation thing going on. And we enter that fear state, and we believe that's the perception of how life should be and how careers should be. When the truth is, it's a false perception. We get to interpret the meaning of the life around us. So for me, in the birthing story, when I was pregnant, and, this is my third child given, right? So I had the perception that childbirth had to be painful. It was hard. It was excruciating. It was exhausting. And, childbirth does take work. I'm not going to lie. But my perception about how it was supposed to be was actually manifesting in the truth of it, right? Because I expected things to go a certain way, and I thought that it was going to be painful. I thought it was going to be hard. I made choices based on that presumption. And the beauty of, having a third child and being able to do this experience, quote unquote, right, or really the way that I had really wanted for all three, was that I got to let go of the false perceptions, got to let go of that fear, and trust my body. Because this is the thing. There is a divine intelligence within you. It knows how to turn that egg and that sperm into an embryo, into a baby, into a human being who you are today. So that divine intelligence is within you. It's the same intelligence that's within an acorn that knows how to become the oak tree, or, a caterpillar into a butterfly. It's that programming that's all around us. And what happens in society is that we stop trusting that divine intelligence. We stop trusting that unfolding, and we look to gurus, and we look to experts, and we look to other people to tell us what we should do. And that's so wrong, okay? Like, I know I hear and help people with their careers. I don't proclaim to be an expert. I don't proclaim to be a guru. I'm really helping you uncover the truth of what matters to you. And so, it's important to go back to that and trust what's within you. And, because of this beautiful calm birthing experience, I got to experience it and smash that fear of childbirth being a horrible experience and being painful, and actually have it be one of the highlights of my life. Really, it was so beautiful. And I gave birth to a 10-pound baby at the end of the day, which, no drugs, like, it's insane. I think if I had known, oh my God, he's 10 pounds, I would have freaked out. I wouldn't have trusted myself. I would have shut down. Maybe I would have had to have a C-section or something, right? Which is not ideal for what I wanted myself. So, when you put those limits on and you're like, oh, too much knowing, too much, planning can sometimes actually be a detriment to you just freaking getting going and getting out there. Because it's a bit like the Harrison Ford movie, Indiana Jones, where you have to take a step and then the next step will appear and the next step will appear. That divine intelligence is within you. You've got to trust and make that little step, little step, little step. Know that fear is going to pop up. That's your brain doing its thing, trying to keep you safe. We still have that tribal mentality where, we don't want to get stepped out and cast out of the tribe. We want to stay within the tribe. But, it doesn't help us actually do the work we're here to do. And that's false perception, right? Like, this is one of the things I find with making the transition, another scary fear from corporate, quitting my job, starting a business. I was really worried about having to go back and sort of crawl with my tail between my legs and say, oh, failed, it's not what I wanted to do. And, oh, can I have a job back, please, please, please? But what I found is that listening to that little seed, and it's a little mustard seed that said, you're not in the right place, you're meant to do something else, kind of finding my way. I've met people who are beautiful, people who are way more like-minded than I could have imagined, women who have, opened up my eyes to a different world and have helped me come back to more of who I am. So if you're facing fear in your life, in your career, I invite you to write down some of those assumptions that you're making. Do you believe you have to work hard to make money? Do you believe you have to sacrifice your health or your happiness in order to have the career? Write down some of those assumptions that you have about success. And then take your top 3 and come up with an argument against them. Say, for example, you think you have to work hard to make money. Maybe you can look at examples of people who've, made money, but they're not killing themselves like in the office till midnight every night. Look to see different evidence, because you're going to tune your frequency in your brain to see other ways. And because you've been programmed to, childbirth is painful, it's going to be hard, I have to have a C-section, I've got to, pick my formula already, those sorts of things. If you believe that to be the case, that's the world you're going to manifest. If you remove some of those blinders and make your choices for yourself and define your parameters, you're going to see that in the world. And I know it sounds a little bit, out there, but trust me, that's exactly the case. And have fun with it. Start to play with it. And the first step is figuring out that awareness in terms of some of those limiting beliefs that are holding you back. So give that a go and leave a comment below. What are some of the biggest limiting beliefs that are holding you back? If you have a challenge, post them below and I can help you with some of those rewrites to see if there is another way. Thank you so much for watching, and remember, working with your fear so that you can get that idea, that project, that calling of yours outside is in service to you and to others as well. So remember to keep going. There's only one of you. There's only you who can do what you do the way you do it. Keep going.